Welcome to Inner Authority. This podcast is for people who know that they are capable of more, not in a striving way, but in a quiet, internal knowing. It's for the people who've done a lot right, who are intelligent, who are self-aware, who are successful by most measures, but they still feel that tension inside, like something has gone slightly off track. Not because you're broken, and not because you need fixing, but because at some point you learn to lead yourself from effort instead of trust. Inner authority is about coming back from that. It's about restoring your relationship with your own knowing, your decisions, your direction, not by pushing harder, but by listening more honestly. My name is Kelly Brummer. I'm the founder of Start and Succeed and Inner Authority podcast. Each episode of this podcast is an invitation for you to slow down, to notice what's actually true for you, and to lead yourself from that place again. So if you're done outsourcing your authority and you're ready to come back into alignment with yourself, then you're in the right place. So here we are, the first episode of Inner Authority. So let's talk about what inner authority actually means. So, if you've ever felt like you know what you want, but you still hesitate, you still second guess yourself, or maybe you even wait for reassurance before taking any action, I want you to hear this clearly. That isn't a confidence problem. It isn't a discipline problem either. And it is not because you lack ambition or clarity or even capability. What you're actually experiencing is a loss of inner authority. Inner authority is your ability to trust yourself, to listen to yourself, and to lead from that place without needing external validation, permission, or certainty from anyone outside of yourself. Now, most people are never taught how to actually build this. In fact, many of us are subtly taught to do the exact opposite. So from an early age, we learn to look outwards for approval, to prioritize fitting in over telling the truth, to equate being liked with being safe. And over time, that actually teaches us something quite dangerous. And that's that our inner knowing is optional, that our instincts are unreliable, and that somebody else knows better. And what happens when that happens is your inner authority starts to erode. And over time, slowly, quietly, not all at once, you start second guessing yourself. You start second guessing decisions that you would have once trusted. You start asking for advice when really you already know the answer. You may even delay action. You may wait for clarity that never actually turns up. And this is where so many high achieving people get stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they no longer trust themselves enough to do it. Now, here's the truth. Most people aren't going to say it out loud. Inner authority doesn't disappear because you fail. Fail is actually an opportunity to learn. It disappears because you succeed in ways that require you to abandon yourself, your inner knowing, your self-trust. So when success comes from compliance, from performance, or pleasing others, it trains you to override your own voice, your own thoughts, your own decision-making tools. And over time, that's creating an internal disconnection. So from the outside, you may look hugely successful, but on the inside, you feel restless, you feel constrained, you feel uncertain. You know that you're capable of more. When you're in that mindset, you feel capable of more, but you just can't access it fully. And that feeling, it isn't a flaw, it's actually a signal. It's a signal that your inner authority is asking for you to claim it, for it to be reclaimed. Now, reclaiming that inner authority doesn't mean becoming louder or more assertive with people. It doesn't mean pushing harder, working harder, or forcing confidence. It means rebuilding your own self-trust. It means learning how to listen inwardly again, to you, to your thoughts, to your feelings, to your emotions, to recognize what feels true, and then to lead from that place even when it's uncomfortable. Now, this podcast, Inner Authority, exists because self-leadership has been misunderstood for too long. I truly believe that. Leadership isn't about control and power and a title. It's not about confidence as performance. And it's not about having everything figured out, because really, we do. Leadership begins internally. It begins before action. It begins before strategy. And it begins before change and transformation. Inner authority is the foundation of every aligned decision that you will ever make in your life. Without it, no amount of motivation is going to sustain you. But with it, with inner authority, movement becomes more natural. You don't need to become someone new. You actually need to come back to yourself. And that is work that we all need to do. And that's the purpose of this podcast. Not by giving you the answers, but by helping you to trust your own again. Before you move on with your day, just notice what shifted whilst you were listening to this episode. Not what you learned, but what settled. Inner authority doesn't announce itself loudly. It feels like a quiet agreement inside of you, inside of your body, and inside of your mind. If this episode met you there, stay with the podcast and go and subscribe so that you don't have to go looking for this again. It will be here when you're ready to listen. No pressure, no urgency. Just a return to yourself, one conversation at a time.